What is up, guys? Wrestling Premiere is here. Let me just say, I've never watched this pay-per-view in full. I have watched the IC title match and the main event, but other than that, I never watched the other matches. I've seen that this pay-per-view was good, but I wanted to do it justice by showing you how great it was. Now, if I had to say how many bad matches there were on this pay-per-view, I'd say there's only one. Other than that, this was a gem. The fact that I never seen it in its entirety is something I kind of regret. Anyways, WWE in 2009, you know how it was. Raw was lacking, ECW was good, and SmackDown was flat out awesome. It's well known. Guys like Triple H, The Undertaker, and Shawn Michaels were on hiatus, and that kind of hurt the company for a bit during this time period. But it was also time for guys like Jeff Hardy and CM Punk to step up. Now, looking at the card, I find it weird that Raw only has 2 matches. Like, Kofi Kingston could have been on the card, but once I get to a certain segment, you'll understand why there wasn't a Kofi Kingston match. Anyways, Judgment Day was held in the Allstate Arena in Chicago, Illinois on May 17, 2009. 14,822 were packed in the Allstate Arena to witness The Miz absolutely tear into them. I'll get to that later. The buy rate for the pay-per-view was 228,000, which was down from the 252,000 of Judgment Day 2008. The theme song for the pay-per-view was Rescue Me by Buck Cherry. Before I start this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Right now, let's actually get into it. The first match was between CM Punk and Umaga. Now, this was Punk's homecoming party. Like, he was back home, and this time around, he was Mr. Money in the Bank. As for how this feud began, well, Umaga ruined Punk's cash-in on an episode of SmackDown, and then he didn't challenge him to a match until the following month. But the funny part in that segment was the fact that Umaga spoke English. I still can't believe he spoke English in that segment. Like, it was unusual. He's yelling, Sawa, and right now he's speaking English, and it's very fluent. Please go check out that segment if you haven't. I just learned about it about a while ago, and I was shocked to see Umaga speaking English in the WWE ring. In the early going, Umaga managed to dominate. He slammed the hell out of Punk, and he targeted his shoulder for a bit. The shoulder was a bit of a liability, and Umaga continued to pounce on CM Punk. He was on the offense for most of the match, and Punk tried fighting back, but his efforts were met with an uppercut. Umaga tried hitting a Samoan headbutt, but Punk moved out of the way, and the fans chanted his name. He pulled the rope from under him, and he connected with a crossbody. Punk started to make a comeback with kicks and forearms, and Umaga, despite making some mistakes, he managed to ground CM Punk. He tried going for his finisher, but Punk moved out of the way and successfully hit the Bulldog from the top rope. Mr. Money in the Bank continued to bring the fight to the Samoan Bulldozer, and he was even on the verge of hitting the GTS, but he didn't, and Umaga hit the Samoan Drop. This only got him a near fall, and he decided to measure Punk for the Samoan Spike. That didn't land, and the Second City Saint tried some kicks for good measure, but Umaga didn't lose his balance. He tried going for the GTS, but Umaga hit a combo sequence, a super kick, that thing, and the Samoan Spike to win the match. I swear, it felt like a video game sequence. It's weird how Punk lost, but it becomes apparent the following month why he lost. Umaga admired his thumb for a bit, and overall, it was good. It was slow in the beginning, and it did drag, but once Punk started to work on his comeback, it entertained me, and for that, it salvaged my opinion on it. Backstage, Vicky Guerrero notified Big Show that John Cena's cleared to compete. He was actually barely able to compete because Big Show threw him through a searchlight at Backlash. Edge then entered the room, and it was an awkward moment for the couple. Like, this was basically the downfall of Edge and Vicky's relationship. Next up, Christian defends the ECW Championship against Jack Swagger. It's unfortunate that Swagger didn't really have a successful career. Like, the moment he won the title, he all of a sudden became serious, and he didn't show off his character. He was just serious champion number 1. As for Christian, well, he was WWE's workhorse around this time period. He never really had a bad match, and he was like the main reason why I watched ECW back then as a kid. Anyways, if you watched this match on mute, you'd think Christian was the heel. Only for the few minutes. Like, he was using some tactics like slapping Swagger, running away, and it felt like he had his number for a bit. He was taunting him too. Swagger took down the champ, and he was mostly targeting the midsection because, you know, gut wrench. As for Christian, he was the mouse trying to avoid Swagger's power moves and going for some flashier moves. Swagger gained the upper hand by sending Christian right into the steel post, and he focused on wearing down Captain Charisma and adding damage to the midsection. The champ tried fighting back, but the midsection was a liability, and Christian decided to capitalize on Swagger's mistakes and catching him off guard. He fooled Swagger twice, and he managed to get out of the gut wrench. Swagger, though, hit a belly-to-belly off the top rope, and this got him a near fall. He tried finding ways to win like this, but this wasn't Christian's first rodeo. Swagger even resorted to cheap tactics, but it didn't work out for him, and Christian returned the favor by pulling down his straps. Captain Charisma then rolled the All-American up, and he used the straps for leverage to retain the title. All in all, a fun match. Christian used Swagger's tactics against him, and he proved that the All-American is inexperienced. Underrated gem. I like the story. Christian's experience helped him win this one. He was wise, capitalizing on Swagger's inexperience and mistakes, and so it made for an entertaining bout. They showed some tension between Edge and Chavo backstage, and I don't think it led to anything other than the downfall of La Familia. Next up is a matchup between Shelton Benjamin and John Morrison. Okay, this one was fun. Morrison had just turned into a face, and he showed that he's as good as a face as he is a heel. Like, the moment he got directed to SmackDown, everything changed. Like, he began to show off everything in his arsenal. Shelton went straight at it with an exploder suplex, and Morrison managed to catch up to him, and he decided to take a breather. And when Morrison hit this move, like, it shocked me. Like, what the hell was that? I swear, I didn't expect him to hit something like that at that moment in the match. The fans clearly loved it, and this shows why 2009 was Morrison's year. Charlie Haas directed the Friday Night Delight, and Shelton showed off some of his athleticism. Shelton was mostly trying to ground Morrison by striking him and locking him in holds, and it was working well for him as Morrison struggled to get into it. The complexion of the match changed when both men bumped into each other. The Guru of Greatness began his comeback, and he hit a unique variation of a Russian leg sweep. He continued hitting some innovative moves until Shelton proved that high risk is just that. Risky. Shelton didn't have the upper hand for long though, as John Morrison hit the flying chop, and Morrison then went up to the top rope and he successfully hit the Starship Pain. Now yeah, sure, this match might have felt like a TV match, but it was fun. I was thoroughly entertained, and that's what matters, if you're entertained by a match. I still can't believe though Morrison hit that move earlier on, because it was so damn sudden. Next up, The Miz came out. This was one of The Miz's best promos in his career up to this point, and it showed how good of a heel he is. Yeah, he used cheap heat to get booed, but the way he turned the cheap heat into actual heat, like, it's amazing. First of all, he came out to the ring and he congratulated Marty Jannetty, or John Morrison, and he mentioned that he's 3-0 against John Cena. The fans chanted, "What?" and his response, well, here it is. What? You sound like a bunch of ducks. Quack, 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 shut up. He then challenged Alfonso Soriano to come into the ring, and the words Miz uttered, like, they were so damn devastating. Here they are. "You know, Alfonso, I've seen you after you hit your home runs. You're always doing this." You can't see me doing. Do you even know what this means? It means you can't see. No, you can't see a World Series ring as long as you play for the Chicago Cubs. Fans booed. If you have a problem with anything I say, you could do one or two things. One, you could win a World Series, but we all know that's not going to happen, don't we? Or two, you could serve as a Cena surrogate and get into this ring. Get in here because you can't see me. All of a sudden, Miz claimed that he got a phone call. Excuse me. Oh, yeah, really? Really? Forget Alfonso. That was Lou Piniella. He said that you can't do it because, well, he'd rally you to get your yearly injury on the field rather than off. Which means, since you are the substitute for Cena, that means it's a forfeiture, which means I have done something that no one has done on the Chicago Cubs in over 100 years of being in the World Series, which is to win 4 times. Fans were booing him hard. That's right. The Miz 4, John Cena 0. Be jealous, Cubby fans, because I am The Miz. And, well, he didn't get to finish it because Santino interrupted. Miz shut down the what chance, and then he used some cheap heat and turned it into real heat. So when Santino came out, everyone was on his side. The Miz asked Santino why he's here, and he responded, stating that many in the WWE are starting to resemble animals, and he showed a picture of Kozlov and Sam the American Eagle. He was just messing around and calling the Miz Fizz, and all of a sudden they brawled, and the crowd was 100% on Santino's side. Miz, though, managed to neutralize him, and all of a sudden, Chavo ran down to the ring, and he hit a frog splash. The reason why Chavo came out is because Santina had this feud with Vicky, and she was being disrespectful. Overall, an entertaining segment. Now, about the Kofi Kingston thing, I believe if this segment wasn't on there, I believe he would have had a title match for sure. Backstage, Josh Matthews interviewed Chris Jericho. He called himself the most talented wrestler of his generation, and he said that the fans don't recognize that. They only care about Rey Mysterio and the biased hypocrites chant 619. Obviously, he initiated the chant because he mentioned it. The next match was for the Intercontinental Championship. Rey Mysterio defended the gold against Y2J Chris Jericho. Now, don't let this distract you from the fact that these two deserve a separate video. I'm just covering the entire match right here. I'm not covering the feud or anything like that. I'm just covering what happened in the match. Right in the beginning, Rey tried going for the 619, but he obviously didn't connect, and Y2J struck the champ. He had the upper hand in the beginning, and he tried sending Rey through the ropes, but that amounted to nothing, and Rey managed to evade Jericho and hit some moves on him. Rey connected with a leg drop, but Jericho grounded the champ. He hit the springboard dropkick as the fans booed. Jericho's mindset was, let's wear down Rey with some hard-hitting moves and a headlock. Rey, though, escaped, and he attempted the 619, but Jericho disconnected the call, and he continued to be on the offense. By the way, when Y2J and Rey face off, was this move in every single match or what? I love it. That was a different variation of the backbreaker. Jericho even used some dubious tactics like removing Rey's mask, but it didn't work out for him. Rey started to make a comeback, and he managed to counter Jericho's moves. Y2J did bounce back with a tilt-a-whirl, and they started to counter each other's moves. Rey tried going for the 619 once again, but he was locked in the walls, and overall it was really fun. At this point, Y2J was making good on his guarantee that Ray won't hit the 619 on him. Jericho continued to attempt hard-hitting moves, but Ray used his quickness and speed to connect with a sudden 619. He then dropped a dime and he retained the title. Fun. The funny part of this is the fact that it's arguably the weakest match in their series, but nonetheless they had a very memorable bout, and so far it was match of the night. Story of the match, Jericho tries to ground Ray and connect with some hard-hitting moves, and Ray used his speed to evade Jericho's offense. The next match was for the WWE Championship. Randy Orton defended the gold against Batista. Now, I already covered parts of their feud in the Legacy videos, and you could go check them out. As for when Part 3 comes out, well, I recently made the Age of Orton video, and I don't want to make too many videos on one individual in a short time, so probably a couple of weeks. Anyways, Randy was on a path of destruction. He took out the McMahons and Triple H. Batista was here to return the favor, as Orton was the one who took him out in December. In the beginning, Orton ran out to the outside, and Batista was a hothead. He just wanted his hands on Randy Orton. They did the usual wrestling sequences before Orton took another breather. Once he entered the ring, he got a clothesline and a suplex. Batista's mindset was, well, he was going for the power game. Orton was also hitting some hard-hitting moves, but he was taking his time. He was wearing down Batista with kicks and knees. He showed no emotion in dissecting the animal, and he began targeting the left shoulder for a bit. But Batista managed to slam him down to the mat. Orton tried returning to the sleeper, but Batista avoided it, so he connected with a dropkick. He then hit the second rope DDT, and that got him a near fall. He tried wrapping it up with a punt, but Batista speared the hell out of him. They traded blows left and right, and it was Batista who won this fight. He started to make a comeback, but Orton managed to kick out. At one point, though, the champ begged for the referee to count him out. Batista realized this, and he went straight after the Viper. He almost got himself counted out in the process, but in the ring, he bursted out with a vicious clothesline and a brutal kick to the champ's face. Orton realized that this might be Batista's night, so he brought in a chair. Batista didn't allow him to use it, and he had a shoulder tackle off the top rope. The animal was looking for the Batista bomb, but Orton escaped it and grabbed his belt. He was like, I'm outie. Batista, though, had other plans. He threw Orton into the ring, and he thwarted Orton's belt attack by hitting a spinebuster. Momentum was on Batista's side at this moment, and the Viper knew this. He managed to evade the Batista bomb, but he also failed to hit the RKO. Once again, Batista made a mistake, and Orton thought, you know what, let's try it again, RKO. Dave pushed Orton away, and it was at this moment he realized that there is a way out. Batista tried grabbing him, and he slapped the hell out of the referee to cause the DQ. Obviously, Batista reacted the only way Batista could, but before he knew it, Rhodes and DiBiase ganged up on him. Orton was instructing them on how to attack Batista, but all of a sudden, we hear woo, and it was Ric Flair, the retired Ric Flair. He unleashed hell, and Batista managed to connect with his finisher on Orton. They stood tall as Legacy tucked their tail between their legs. Was Ric Flair's return shocking? Well, I thought it was. We haven't seen him since WrestleMania 25, I believe, and it was random, but it kind of made sense because he used to mentor Batista. As for the match, this wasn't bad. It was decent, but I believe it could have been better. Nonetheless, this was one of the better Orton-Batista matches. The next match was between John Cena and The Big Show. First of all, Big Show had some hair on his head, and second of all, Cena was at 100%. He was barely able to compete, and about this match, well, it was pretty weak. Cena had to adapt to the situation at hand, seeing as he was injured. He had to adapt to a 500-pound situation. In the beginning, Big Show dominated. There was "Let's go Cena, Cena sucks" chant. And the reason why Cena wasn't at 100% because Big Show launched him into the stage light at Backlash. Cena did try fighting back, but it amounted to nothing. Every single time he fought back, Big Show neutralized him. The Giant targeted Cena's ribcage, which means if he struggles to breathe, he can't really get back into it. He locked him into a bear hug, and overall it was a slow match. Big Show was working a methodical pace. He slammed Cena, he patiently waited for him to recover, and that's how it was until Cena managed to knock him down. He hit the 5-knuckle shuffle, but when it was FU time, Big Show tried the chokeslam. Cena countered though, and he connected with a DDT. Cena tried going for the STFU, but Big Show was too big, and he got a clothesline for his efforts. Big Show hit the splash on Cena, but this got him a near fall. He tried going for another, but Cena moved out of the way. The leader of the C Nation was hell-bent on locking the Big Show in the STFU, but he was just too big. Instead, he hit the leg drop before attempting it the third time. He failed to lock it in once again, and the Big Show bounced back by hitting a reverse powerbomb. And then it was time to wrap it up with a KO punch. When Cena recovered, he caught Big Show off guard with an FU to win the match. Now, what can I say about this match? It was pretty slow and not in a good way. That pain that Cena was feeling, it hurt the match. And plus, the result didn't help. I feel like Big Show should have won this one. They were going to have a rematch anyways at Extreme Rules, and it would have helped the Big Show had he won this. He deserved it. And plus, Cena was hurt in storyline, so that could have been the excuse anyways. And the main event, Edge defends the World Heavyweight Championship against Jeff Hardy. The freaking promo for this match was 5 stars. Like, Edge's quote always sticks to me. One good day out of 365 does not make a champion. The damn song, the highlights, everything was top notch. And Jeff Hardy in 2009 was a whole other vibe. Like, if you watched him during this time period, you know it was a special time to witness a charismatic enigma. As for Edge, well, he wasn't as slimy as he previously was. Yeah, he did try some cheap tactics to win, but he wasn't doing heinous things to win these matches like previously. Compared to 2006 and 7 and 8, he was very different. He was just like a normal heel. Anyways, Jeff got a loud ass pop, and he once again proved that he was the most over superstar since Austin and Rock, I guess. As for the match, my favorite of the night, Jeff showed off his wrestling skills, arm drags, and Edge couldn't really get into it. His arm was being worked on, and Hardy hit the somersault, but the high-risk offense ended up hurting Hardy after he missed with a whisper in the wind. Edge threw Jeff into the ring post before spearing him off the apron. Now, the Rated R Superstar, what he was trying to do at this point, well, he was trying to target the lower back, and he locked Hardy in some holds to further damage the back. Hardy struggled to make a comeback as the Rated R Superstar was doing a number on him. He did manage to hit a crossbody on Edge before connecting with a jawbreaker. Once again, though, Hardy crashed and burned while Edge moved out of the way. Edge showed off his in-ring prowess by pulling Hardy away from the ropes and hooking the legs so Hardy could use his energy to kick out. Jeff, though, wasn't down for long, and he quickened the pace. He finally connected with a crossbody, but Edge kicked out. For the 5th time, Hardy's aerial offense hurt him. It didn't affect him, though, as he locked the Rated R Superstar in the sharpshooter. Edge reached the ropes, and Hardy hit a sudden twist of fate. It only got him a near fall, though. Jeff took off his shirt, and this was when the match changed, like from good to great. Jeff hit a sunset flip powerbomb and the mule kick. Outside of the ring, Jeff was looking to send the champ through the announce table, but he didn't. He climbed the barricade, and right when he reached the announce table, Edge speared him off of it. Like, this was just a normal match. Yeah, Jeff Hardy performed another stunt. Come on, like, this guy, he's the man for doing this. He didn't even have to do this. It's a freaking normal match. Hardy managed to beat the count of 10, and he connected with a twist of fate and a leg drop. This would have gotten Hardy the win, but Edge's foot was on the bottom rope. The champ was reeling. He was on the receiving end of a whisper in the wind, and he was kicked right into the crowd. But then the tables would turn when Jeff was blasted by his brother Matt. He tried hiding, but the barricade fell, and it was an awkward moment for him. He was trying to hide from the referee. That cast basically knocked Jeff out cold. Edge set him into the ring, and he went for the cover, but he kicked out, and Edge couldn't believe it. He tried wrapping it up with a spear, but he was sent straight into the turnbuckle. And this was Hardy's moment to shine. He was dazed, but he managed to climb the turnbuckle despite being unsteady. Edge, however, caught up to him, and he hit a nasty execution or superplex, and that got him the win. It was a very unique ending, off the top rope. Overall, this was one hell of a match. They had good chemistry, and I liked the pacing of the match. Like, the moment Hardy took off his tank top, the entire match changed. It felt like a no DQ match from there on. It was really fun. Edge managed to endure the pain and experience the rapture of walking out as champ. Overall, this was a fun event. I feel like it's a complete gem. Like, when we talk about the most underrated pay-per-views, we mentioned Vengeance 2003, Unforgiven 2006, Backlash 2007, but we never mentioned this pay-per-view. Yeah, sure, it's not on the level exactly of those pay-per-views, but it's severely overlooked. Me, myself, I actually overlooked the pay-per-view, and it wasn't until I watched it that I realized that it's a gem. There was one match that was lacking, but other than that, the rest were either decent or great. And that's it for this video. Make sure you hit a swanton bomb on the like button, and perhaps a spear on the subscribe button. Peace, I'm out.